Hello? No one's watching. That's fine. I need no one to watch. I'm used to talking to myself and no one listening to me. Ow, crap. Just dropped the charger on my foot. I'm trying to get better light here. I want to see if I can light if I come over here. No. Oh, that's better. Oh, no, that's not good. Sorry. I look like some YouTuber. Hi, Dana. So, funny enough, I was like, do you remember when the North Carolina superintendent, Mark Johnson, for a while was doing, well, you probably don't remember. I remember. Hi, Carmen. Mondays with Mark. And so I was like, Mondays with Mark, I'm going to start doing Tuesdays with Tails. I promise you 10 minutes after I started Tuesdays with Tails, he didn't do Mondays with Mark anymore. But I think I'm going to get back to Tuesdays with Tails. And just on that note, to pop in about North Carolina a little bit. I know a lot of y'all aren't from North Carolina, but still, you have your own state and you need to be aware of what's going on in there. Mark Johnson, I just talked to Stu Eakin, you know, who writes Caffeinated Rage. He's a teacher who I love. Did you get Mark Johnson's welcome back email? I shared a Mark Johnson email the other day, and Angie, you're an anniversary follower. What the hell is that? That's so exciting. Anniversary follower. Now, my supporters that are on here, like there's Blair East and Caroline Davis and Sheila. If you pay $5 a month, I know, oh, it's so expensive. Why should I pay? Suck it up, Buttercup. It's like coffee. You get good videos about every other day. We ponder all sorts of things, and you get to buy Tails gear, which is not like this Rumbar hat. Ooh, I'm going to get the other hat. I'll let you see. Hang on. Actually, the next person that signs up to be a supporter, I'm going to mail you. Ooh, Russell said, Mom, your hair is greasy and gray. That's nice. The next person that signs up as a supporter is going to get a Tales of an Educated Debutante hat. So there. Ha! Now, so Mark Johnson, our superintendent of North Carolina, is on a rampage. Because he's so over this iStation thing is killing him. He can't take it. So now he released this post and said iStation is going to, for free, let us use their stuff. Why this dumb old Department of Instructional Technology with this scandalous, fake whatever thing gets the suit worked out, because they issued a stay. Now let's just go over for a minute. Why would you alienate an entire department? It's a huge organization in North Carolina. It's crazy talk. Don't do that. And then it makes Mark Johnson look like such a dumbass, because doesn't he have anything else to do than focus on iStation? Hello? You have a lot to do, Mark Johnson. I'm just telling you, you have a lot to do. Betsy, I'm so excited about coming to the Sandhills. I'm going to Aberdeen/Pinehurst. I think they're right beside each other. And I'll be speaking on September 12th, doing a fundraiser for an equestrian program for children with developmental disabilities. Anyway, super excited. So yes, Mark Johnson needs to walk away, and he needs to focus on what he should be focusing on, which is all children in North Carolina, not just elementary school students, and the assessment that they're taking. Please get your shit together and being a superintendent and quit taking your own picture. I don't want to see your picture. You want to see my picture? Nope. Okay, now, enough of him. We're going to talk about him tomorrow a little bit. I've been very busy. Today I went to the zoo in Norfolk with Amos, which prompted the discussion tonight, which is inclusion. Is your smoke detector still beeping? Yes, so I had a supporter video yesterday, and the smoke detector is beeping, and everybody else thought it was their smoke detector. It's mine. Yes, it is. Meanwhile, my husband has rented a lift so he can repair all our shutters. But our smoke detector does not work. Okay, so today I go to the zoo with Amos. Now, you might have read my posts. 2 young moms said, come on and go. It'll be fun. And I was like, okay, I'll go. We need to go. This is good. These little girls are going to be in Amos's kindergarten class. Yes, we went to the Virginia Zoo. And taking Amos places is not for the faint of heart. For some reason today, I forgot that I needed to lower my expectations. Seriously, when you're a special needs mother, you do realize you can go to the zoo for free if you have autism. Cody, I did not know that. Cody has autism. He would know. Cody, they did not tell me that. I got half off with my aquarium pass. You never got your hat. They have been sent out unless you ordered a navy blue one. They are delayed. Gina. But everything got mailed out Thursday and Friday. Mary Cole, my assistant, did massive mailing. Where there was a huge pile right here. Look. No pile. Oh, gone. Everybody should be getting their stuff. Now, so we go to the zoo. But let's just start for 1 second. Amos is terrified of the hand dryer in the bathroom. Logan, his camp counselor, said, we had a bad experience with the public bathroom. So we get to the zoo, and he's, holding his pants. And I said, Amos, you need to go potty. He was like, oh, no. And I didn't think anything of it. Well, I think he got foul because he was foul, and because he had to pee. So we finally were getting ready to leave. I said, we got to go to the bathroom. We're about to get in the car again. He was like, no. I parked the stroller outside the bathroom, took him in the bathroom, put him in the handicap stall. So if anybody thinks about using the handicap stall, I'm telling you, people like me need the handicap stall when I had Amos. I had to leave the door open. He's not little anymore. He's big. So he's almost 6, and he is like thrashing and wrestling. And I'm trying to rip his pants down. Yes. In the bathroom. And he's screaming, no. This is related to inclusion. You're going to say, this is a little bit of a stretch, but I'm going to tell you why. You know why? Because no one looked at me like I was insane or a child molester. No one seemed terribly worried. No one gave me mean looks. No. They just watched me, sat there quietly waiting their turn as I had Amos in a full-on pretzel on the floor in the bathroom. I did have on shoes. And finally got him on the potty where he went. And then I pointed out there were no fans in the bathroom. I'd already checked the bathroom to make sure there were no hand dryers in there. And then we didn't even use the sink, but we got out the paper towel and we wiped our hands and we left. So inclusion is sometimes just not making somebody feel like a total fool. Does that make sense? Or if I'm in a restaurant and Amos is at your table and he's taking your chips, inclusion is like, oh, hi, not saying anything. So I see this other mom today at the aquarium, at the zoo, and I wasn't sure if she was a mom or like a caregiver. She looked young, but I'm looking older by the second. He reminded me of Amos, but he was probably 12. He was real cute. And he kept coming up to the guy at the train. There's a train at the zoo. Amos really liked the train. And he would say, hi, what's your name? And the guy working the train was like, I'm Tyler, I told you that or whatever. And we rode the train 2 times because 2 times was enough. And the 12-year-old was waiting, watching the train, and I said to the caregiver mom, oh, does he like the train? She was like, well, he really just likes to watch it, not ride it right now. And I said, oh, that makes sense. But I wish we had talked more. So, yes, you're welcome, Beth. Good education. So the reason I'm telling you all this is because I was you. If you're not a special needs mom, I was you. This talk, I'm applying to do a TED Talk at SAS in December, and it's 18 minutes or less, but I think my talk is going to be about, it has to be an idea, not a story, about the idea that special needs, now I've forgotten the whole gist. Special needs aren't like scary. It's just a different way of life. And so when I was thinking about the Misfit Toys, Land of the Misfit Toys, it's not like a bad thing. It's just so different. Now, it is hard as hell. I will say today, I was about kaput. Like, if I'd had vodka, I would have put it in an IV, especially after that bathroom scenario. But I really try to remind myself so often, like, think of where you've been and where you are, and think of where you are again. So we've made so much progress. And we're here, like we're at a zoo. We're potty trained. We might be screaming in the bathroom, but we're potty trained. Like, this is a big deal. And because you can get overwhelmed and feel beat down, and then you just have to say, you know what, like, it's okay. We're doing okay. So the rest of the story with inclusion is, I think the biggest thing for me, and this is not, a lecture that I'm trying to give you, is that all special needs families want to be included. Like, we know that. And you'll hear moms say all the time, like, you see those stories on the news, nobody came to my child's birthday party, nobody this, nobody that, nobody that. And I get that. And so this is not against those families, because I am one of those families. But I'm going to tell you that if you are a special needs family, you have to make the first move. You do. This is not like 1950 where you're waiting for the boy to call you. You have to make the first move. You have to say yes to the play date at the zoo. You have to go to church. On Sunday, we went with no shoes on. You have to put yourself out of your comfort zone, and you have to be vulnerable, and you have to share and admit this is really hard. And I'm going to tell you why. If you don't do that, then how does the rest of the world even know what you're doing or what you're up against? They don't know. So if we don't share, then we're really to blame at some point, I think. So our daughter just wants to be seen as a typical teenager, and sometimes people I'm reading Jessica's comment. Jessica, I can't see it for some reason, have a hard time seeing past her wheelchair. Okay, exactly. I get that. So one thing that I try to do now, if I see somebody in a wheelchair, generally if I see anyone that I think might have special needs, I always speak. I mean, I talk to most people anyway, but I always make an effort to speak to that person. Do I know if that person can talk back or knows what I'm saying? No, but I always speak. Because you know what? Don't we all want to be spoken to? We all want to be spoken to. So that's important. So inclusion, we want to be included, but I'm telling you, special needs families, you have to be willing to put yourself out there. And that is a big thing, and it is not easy. My friend Meredith today said, I feel like I said no so much, and now I regret it, and now I feel like we're not getting included because I said no. So Meredith, who's not going to love being called out, but I'm going to call her out anyway because we're friends like that. Her son has autism, and he's 13, and she came over to the pool a couple summers ago, and they swam with us. And her son David, at the time, I think he was about 10, and he still had on a swim diaper, and he was watching the big kids jump in the pool, and he was clapping, and he was excited. Okay, Amos loves people to jump in the pool. He loves people to do gymnastics. He loves to throw a dog a ball. He likes any kind of motion, just tickles him to no end. Well, for Meredith, so put yourself in her shoes, she was feeling anxious watching this big boy jump and clap and do all these things. But if Meredith doesn't get out there and do that and bring David to the pool, if I don't take Amos to do things, then the world is confused when they do see something like that. So then we say, well, we want inclusion, but nobody knows what to do. Where in my family, in our family, Amos is totally typical and normal. So for me, the more I put him out there, the more I'm lessening the stereotypes of special needs, I think. And just saying, oh, it's different. It's not bad. It's different. So anyway, that's my soapbox today. Dawn said, also one of my anniversary followers, Dawn, I just don't know about this title. One of my professors has a special needs daughter who he's joined them in class. He said the little one would choose a new friend to sit with each time, go through their book bag, snack, keys, school supplies. So heartwarming how every college kid in the class displayed empathy, kindness, and compassion. Yes, 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 yes. So I had this thing happen, and it's been a few months ago, so it's not anything recent. But we have some really good friends in Eaton. Mary Scott, Mary Scott, sometimes I encourage her to be on a video, but her son was reporting that another child, a little kid, said, Amos is so dumb. I mean, I'm talking like a 4-year-old, so it's not like nobody go crazy. They're 4, right? And her son said, well, no, he's not. He is not dumb. He knows flags, and he can read and he can write. If anything, if anybody is smart, it is Amos. But the only way he knows that is because he's spent time with him and been with him. So it's real tricky. The other tricky part about inclusion is that it gets harder as you get bigger. So when you're little and cute, it's not so hard. But when you get bigger, what about when the 12-year-old is in the bathroom scared of the hand dryer? It's hard. It is hard. And then what about when your siblings get embarrassed with your behavior? Like I took Amos the other night to open house because he had his open house at school. Well, then I took him to everybody else's open house. Well, he went into the teachers' classrooms and immediately started writing on their nice dry erase boards. And my children, they weren't particularly proud of him, but they weren't terribly embarrassed. Well, they were a little bit maybe. But I said to them, we love Amos and we want the world to love Amos, and we can't change Amos, but we can change the world. So if the world sees Amos and says, you know what, that's okay. It's like somebody's dog slobbers. We still love their dog. Anyway. Ooh, Beth Smith just said if I write the Amos book, she'll do the illustrations. Beth, you might be in trouble. Beth did a huge watercolor portrait of Amos for me as a gift, which I adore. And I'm not using, I think sometimes there's this, you shouldn't put Amos in social media, his photo, his blah, 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 blah. But you know what? What choice do I have? Do I want the world to be better or do I not? I want it to be better. I want it to be better. Annette Bastain says, my son is in a wheelchair and has a tracheotomy. He graduated from Southeastern Seminary, was a missionary, traveled to Israel. Churches can't look past his wheelchair. He longs to work with a congregation, and my heart aches for him to be kept from his dream. Wow. So Annette, it's funny. To me, a wheelchair seems so easy, right? In a way, because I'm like, oh, if Amos just had a physical disability, he would just be Amos still. But I hadn't thought about the fact that he would be excluded based on that. I saw this little boy today look at Amos because now he doesn't look like a baby anymore, and he was standing at the fence and he was jibber jabbering, kind of, and the little boy was watching him, and you could tell it was like he was thinking, I think something's wrong with him, and I don't know what it is. And I thought, he's not used to being around kids with special needs. And I will tell you, as growing up, I never knew anybody with special needs. That's not true. I knew one young woman they belonged to our country club, and their daughter's name was Betty, and she was in a wheelchair, and I was little and would talk to her. But nobody ever talked about Betty. I didn't feel like I saw Betty out and about, and so it just seemed like somebody over here. And you might remember when Russell was asking about Amos in kindergarten a few years ago. It's funny to go back and look at old posts. He said, what are we gonna do? Where will he go to kindergarten? And I said, well, we'll have to wait and see, when he's there. He might be in the regular class, or he might, there's a class for special needs kids. And he said, well, where are they? Where are they? And I think at that moment I was like, we got to exterminate the word they. Because our kids are so, at our school, not on purpose how the school is built, kids with really serious special needs are way down the hall, where now in new schools, kind of progressive schools are building, so the special needs students who might be self-contained are right in the middle of everything. And I think our high school does a really good job of that. But that word they told me a lot. It told me a lot. Kirsten said, there's no helping the people that don't get it. I teach special needs children, and my own children get it. My kids get it. But my children are a lot special ed, and they have grown up with lots of things. Yeah, I just think if we don't expose, how does anybody ever know? What we don't know generally is scary. It's scary. Oh, thank you, Austin. Austin works at Pizza Hut. Austin, we particularly are thankful that y'all are so nice to us at Pizza Hut. In our town, everybody knows Amos, which was kind of my point. I never wanted anybody to be whispering about us behind my back. I would rather put the information out there. And because people know Amos, he can roll around on the floor at Pizza Hut, and Lisa, the manager, or Austin's waiting tables, nobody pays attention. They're like, oh, do you want a mint? I mean, they don't bite. Sorry, my nose is itchy. Yesterday we went to, this is inclusionist, we went to the shoe store. We bought 10 pairs of shoes. I know, but I had 4 children. They all needed cleats. Yes, Amos is going to play soccer, which, hello, if you haven't become a supporter, you might want to pay $5 a month just to follow along Adrian playing age 4 to 6 soccer. There's nothing more humbling than running on a soccer field behind your child while all the other parents are in the bleachers. And particularly with Amos, I'm untangling him out of the net. Yes, it's really fun. Yeah, it's humbling. Like, if anything, it's so good to be that humbled because, one, people see you and they're like, well, that person has no pride left. They can be my friend. But anyway, so we were at Sound Feet Shoes. We got these 10 pairs of shoes. Well, Amos loves to put the quarter in the gumball machine. And so I had a bunch of quarters, and he was giving out gum to friends. There were all these kids in there, buying back to school shoes and stuff. I was like, oh, can you have gum? Is he allowed to have gum? And just the 2 of the kids sitting at the gumball machine. Amos would open it up, and they'd get the gum. He didn't like gum, but he liked watching it swirl around the thing. But anyway, Sound Feet Shoes. We were trying on shoes. Again, it was like me in the bathroom today. It was myself and Mary, my assistant, holding him down to get the shoes on. I mean, it was horrible. But you know what they did in that shoe store? They didn't care. They're like, oh, there's Amos. No big deal. That's inclusion. That is inclusion. We welcome you at the table. You might be butt naked. You might throw a hissy. You might throw a phone. But we welcome you to the table. So anyway, that's all I got. Tuesday with Tails. If you have not become a supporter and you want to become one, you would enjoy it. We have a lot of fun, a lot of funny. You get all the hidden backstories. You also gain access to my lovely husband who hates a live video, so we usually have to sneak up on him. And then my naughty children. There are 3 other ones. Yes, they are all terrible. Adrian, how do your other 3 react to special needs kids outside the family? Has life with Amos helped them feel comfortable? All your kids are so sweet. I think so. They're not around a ton of kids with special needs. I think one thing I really would like for them to have that they don't have is access to siblings of kids with special needs, because I want them to have friends that kind of get it, what it's like living with Amos, because again, it's hard. And so my friend Meredith, her children, we don't get together nearly enough, but I want them to have access, like particularly Thomas, who's 13, to see, okay, this is okay. He's okay if Amos is naked, because Amos does like to be naked. So anyway, but no, they're pretty good. They're pretty good. They, I don't even think it really phases them. Or sometimes Thomas will say, oh, Mom, I think he has autism. But nobody's staring. Now, I will say, if somebody's in a wheelchair or doesn't have a leg, lost a limb, I think when we were on this trip, they noticed some people that were a little bit different. And again, I'm not lecturing to them like I'm doing with y'all. I'm trying to model. So we were on the same cruise boat with this fella and his wife and talked to him a good bit. So I think they're watching me talk, and it's just teaching children to reach out and speak. My good friend Susan lives in Chapel Hill, and her daughter has a disability. And a few years ago, she was like, we were out on a walk. My older daughter's riding the bike, and I had her daughter in the wagon. And his daughters were staring at her daughter. And they were little kids, innocent kids. And the dad was like, come on, let's go. And she and I just happened to talk that night. And she was like, he could have said hello. He could have said, hey, I like your wagon. But he modeled, let's get the hell out of here. And that's what we don't want to model. I think it's always better to ask questions or to talk. I mean, I'm very open about Amos, or if somebody says, well, why doesn't he do that? And I'll say, well, he has autism. And then we're always quick, though, to say, because Blair's real proud, like, well, he can read, or he can do these things, but he can't do these other things. And today, those little girls that we went with, they're sitting there chit-chatting about stuff, and Amos isn't participating in the conversation, but they would tickle him, and he would laugh. Or when he was like, go on the train, they were like, we want to go on the train. I don't think those girls cared about going on that train, but they picked up, our friend Amos wants to go on the train, so we're going to join in with Amos, and we're going to say we want to go on the train. That's inclusion. Now, if they never have access to Amos, how do they know to do that? But if you always have access to somebody like Amos, then there's nothing, no different life, I've had to learn all this the hard way. So really, just be open and friendly. And if you're a special needs mama or daddy, tell your story. I've got a really big story coming out tomorrow out of Winston-Salem. There's going to be a press release in the morning and a conference about a child with Down syndrome who was not allowed to go to her neighborhood school. And there's a court ruling just came out. And so after that press conference, I'm going to be writing a post. And you're going to say to yourself, is this 2019 that this is happening? And it is. It's 2019. And we're too far from that, people. We are too far from that. We have people like Amy Wright, who has Biddy and Bo's coffee shop. She has 2 children that have Down syndrome, and she's really getting the word out. She was CNN Person of the Year in Wilmington, really trying for people to see, like, again, people with disabilities are just different. Any advice on how to deal with a principal who says your autistic son does things on purpose to annoy people? Kick him in the teeth? No, I don't know. I don't know what you do. I guess you can try explaining, but I mean, it's just like those people in Goldsboro this summer that were like, well, I'm sorry for those people, meaning like families like mine. My children, I was blessed that they were born healthy. That is annoying. Don't say things like that. I might have to do a top 10 things not to say to families with children with special needs. I don't know what you deal with somebody that says something like that. Tell them they need to go back to school or something. Something that I don't know about. What was the case name on the ruling? I'm not even going to tell it, but if you're going to look at my post tomorrow, you're going to see it. It's a big deal. Big. 110 pages of, holy cow, this school system messed up. Oh, I'm going to be in Pinehurst in 2 weeks. And then I'm going to be in Winston at the end of September. And I hope I'm going to be in Cary on December 12th doing this TED Talk if I get accepted. Really, really super excited about that. So anyway, thank y'all for joining in Tuesday with Tales. We'll see you next Tuesday night between 9 and 10 on a new topic. You never know. And for my supporters, you all will be tuning in tomorrow from the pool. Amos and I are having a pool day, which is fun because Amos makes me run into the pool 800 times. And one of these days, I'm going to bust my ass, which is not a good thing. Yes, Catherine, you can help me. I need help. I always like to, basically, when I write things, I take what other people tell me. Like I'll say to teachers, tell me your problems. Well, then I write them because I'm not a teacher. I sure like a teacher. Goodbye.